Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ma'am Christine Joy Evangelista. You can call me Ma'am Joy. For this video presentation, I will be discussing science education in India and Sri Lanka. Under this topic, we will tackle their educational system, trends and issues in science education experience in their country, and lastly, the innovations and reforms made by their country to enhance the educational system. But first, as you can see on the first slide, let me enumerate the following objectives that we must attain after this video lesson. First, analyze the structure and development of science educational systems in India and Sri Lanka. Evaluate the trends and issues of science education in both countries. And third, examine the innovations and recent reforms in science education regarding curriculum and learning approaches. Let us now proceed to the next slide, the educational system in each country. To explain the pictures or graphics on this slide, we will analyze the educational systems of each country from early childhood to higher education. So, as you can see on this slide, in India, the educational structure is 10 plus 2, consisting of 8 years of elementary education, 5 years of primary, and 3 years of upper primary. 2 years of secondary and 2 years of higher secondary. Science and mathematics are compulsory for the first 10 years. Why? Because it ensures early exposure of learners to scientific knowledge. At the primary level, science is introduced through environmental studies, which integrates basic concepts of nature, health, and the environment. As students progress, science becomes more structured and discipline-based, such as biology, chemistry, and physics. The system is guided and standardized by institutions such as the National Council of Educational Research and Training, which develops curriculum frameworks, textbooks, and teaching strategies. Remember, India's educational system focuses on maintaining high academic standards while preparing students for higher education. While in Sri Lanka's educational system, it is divided into primary, grades 1 to 5, junior, secondary, grades 6 to 8, and senior secondary, grades 9 to 13. Science is introduced gradually, beginning with basic concepts in grades 4 to 5 and becoming a major subject in later years. Students take national examinations such as the GCE or ordinary level, or also known as the O level, and advanced level or the A level, which determine progression and career pathways. One notable strength is the provision of free textbooks up to the ordinary level, which promotes accessibility and equity. However, practical science is not consistently required, and learning is often supported through teacher-guided activities rather than independent experimentation. Instruction is mainly conducted in Sinhala or Tamil, the two prominent languages spoken in Sri Lanka, while some private schools follow English medium instruction aligned with international standards. Let us now proceed to the next slide. After discussing the educational system, we will now discuss the current trends in science education in both countries. Let us discuss first the similarities between the two countries when it comes to trends in science education. Science education in both India and Sri Lanka has undergone a significant transformation in recent years. Both countries have shifted away from traditional exam-oriented systems toward more learner-centered approaches that emphasize active participation. In India, this is seen through constructivist learning, where students build knowledge through observation, experimentation, and inquiry. Similarly, Sri Lanka adopts a competency-based framework that focuses on developing practical skills and measurable learning outcomes. Despite differences in terminology, both approaches promote hands-on learning and encourage students to engage more deeply with scientific concepts. Another important similarity lies in the integration of ICT and the effort to connect science education to real-life contexts. India contextualizes science lessons according to students' environments, such as linking topics to agriculture in rural areas and technology in urban settings. In the same way, Sri Lanka emphasizes community-based learning, ensuring that scientific knowledge is relevant to students' daily experiences. Both countries also aim to develop higher order thinking skills, including critical thinking, problem-solving abilities, and scientific attitudes, which are essential in today's rapidly changing world. However, there are also notable differences in how these reforms are implemented. India places a strong emphasis on fostering innovation and creativity through programs such as science exhibitions, clubs, and national competitions that stimulate curiosity and independent exploration. In contrast, Sri Lanka focuses more on structured and continuous evaluation through school-based assessment, or also known as SBA, which includes projects, group work, and applied tasks. This highlights a difference in assessment strategies, which in India, leaning toward enrichment activities, and Sri Lanka emphasizing systematic ongoing evaluation. Furthermore, the focus of the curriculum differs between the two countries. India prioritizes innovation and the development of scientific thinking to prepare learners for a knowledge based and innovation driven society. On the other hand, Sri Lanka broadens science education into science and technology, highlighting its vocational and practical importance. It also incorporates environmental education, sustainability, cultural values, and ethical decision making, aiming to produce well rounded individuals who can contribute to national development. In conclusion, while both India and Sri Lanka share common goals of making science education more engaging, relevant, and skill oriented, they differ in their specific approaches and priorities. India emphasizes innovation, inquiry, and in contextual learning, whereas Sri Lanka focuses on competency development, values integration, and employability. Together, these reforms demonstrate how both countries are adapting their education systems to meet the demands of a modern knowledge-based society. Now that we are done with the trends in science education in both countries, let us now proceed to the issues in science education. Despite progress, India faces several persistent challenges. One major issue is the overloaded curriculum, especially at the secondary level, which places pressure on students and limits opportunities for deep understanding and inquiry-based learning. Another concern is insufficient preparation for teachers, including both pre-service and in-service training, which affects the quality of classroom instruction. The assessment system remains largely exam-oriented, often prioritizing memorization over practical skills, experimentation, and critical thinking. Additionally, there are differences in infrastructure development across various regions, laboratory facilities, and access to resources, particularly between urban and rural areas. These challenges hinder the full implementation of innovative and student-centered teaching approaches. Sri Lanka also faces significant challenges, particularly in terms of infrastructure and resource availability. Many schools, especially in rural areas, lack basic facilities such as electricity, water, and properly equipped laboratories, which limits effective science teaching. There is also limited emphasis on practical work, with many schools unable to provide hands-on experimental experiences. The shortage of qualified and well-trained teachers, along with uneven teacher distribution, further affects learning outcomes. Although reforms promote continuous assessment, the system is still largely exam-focused, discouraging creativity and critical thinking. Additionally, language barriers pose a challenge as Sinhala and Tamil lack sufficient scientific terminology, making it harder for students to grasp complex concepts. Socioeconomic issues such as high dropout rates and unemployment also reduce student motivation and participation in science education. Let us now proceed to the innovation programs and reforms in science education in both countries. India introduced several reform programs aimed at improving science education. The improvement of science education in schools between 1987 to 1988 focused on providing science kits, laboratories, libraries, and teacher training. The Environmental Orientation Program between 1988 to 1989 promoted environmental awareness through curriculum materials, while the Computer Literacy and Studies in Schools, were also known as the CLASS program, introduced in 1984 to 1985 and later expanded into CLASS 2000, aimed to develop computer literacy, support computer-aided learning, and promote the concept of smart schools. Curriculum revisions also introduced a new taxonomy of practical skills and emphasized linking science to agriculture in rural areas and technology in urban areas. While in Sri Lanka's major innovation efforts began with the 1999 education reforms, which aimed to improve access, quality, and relevance of education. One key change was replacing traditional science with science and technology in grades 7 to 11. Environmental learning was strengthened through environment-related activities in primary grades and environmental studies in grade 6. A technical subject was made compulsory at the GCE-O level, emphasizing practical and employment-related skills. There is also stronger emphasis on practical and technical skills in grades 6 to 9 and specialized technology subjects in higher grades. After this slide, a video will be played and then an assessment will be sent in our group chat via a Google form. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a good day.
This is Yasuri Chamatkar. She loves to play and sing. Yasuri lives with her parents, Neil and Sanjeevani, and her older sister Punsara in Horana, in Sri Lanka's western province.
එයා සිඟිති කකුළු පෙර පාසලේ අධ්‍යාපනය ලබනවා. එයා ගොඩක්ම පෙර පාසල් යන්න ගොඩක්ම කැමති. නිවාඩු දවසටත් හරියට ගෙදර ඉන්න කැමති නෑ.
Every day, Neil takes Yasuri to a preschool where she is learning important new skills. She is one of an estimated 568,000 children enrolled in early childhood development centers in Sri Lanka. This is a critical time for Yasuri and her classmates because 80 to 90% of the development of a child's brain happens before the age of 5.
ළමයාගේ වැදගත්ම අවධිය මේ මුල්ලමාවිය කාලයකදී කරන පොඩි ආයෝජනයෙන් ලබන ප්‍රතිඵලය විශාලයි.
Unfortunately, only an estimated 65% of Sri Lankan children, 3 to 5 years old, are enrolled in an ECD center. In addition, surveys show that less than half of the early childhood development centers in the country meet basic requirements for ECD instructional quality. Yasuri School, for instance, desperately needed more space.
ආරම්භයේ මම දන්න ආසන්න කාලේ ළමයි 18න් 20න් වගේ තිබ්බ පෙර පාසලේ ළමයි සංඛ්‍යාව 40ක් දක්වා වැඩි වුණා. ඉඩකඩ අවශ්‍යතාවය ඉතාමත්ම තදබල ලෙස පැවතුණා. ඒ නිසා මේක ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් වුණා. මේක මේ විදිහට පුරුදු කිරීම දරුවෝ සංඛ්‍යාව වැඩි වුණා, ගොඩනැගිලි ලොකු වුණා. ඒකට අවශ්‍ය වුණා ඩෙස්ක් පුටු. ඒවත් යම් මට්ටමකට ඒවෙන් සපයා දුන්නා.
This is the first standalone early childhood development project supported by the World Bank in South Asia. As a part of the project, ECD centers have received the support they need to upgrade their facilities, while teachers have received training in exciting new methodologies.
ගුරුවරයෙක් හැටියට නම් මම හිතන්නේ අපිට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ දැනුම. අපේ දරුවන්ට දැන් විවිධාකාරයේ දරුවෝ පෙර පාසල් දෙනවා. ඒ දරුවොත් එක්ක ගැටෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒ දරුවොත් එක්ක අපි රැඳෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක අලුත් විදිහට තියෙන දේවල් වල දැනුම තමයි අපිට ඕන වෙන්නේ.
Parents and the wider community have benefited from training focused on improving the health and nutritional status of young children. They also learned how to promote early learning.
මුල්ලමාවිය දරුවෝ ඉන්න මවක් හැටියටත් මම ගොඩාක් සතුටු වෙනවා. රජයක් හැටියට සහ අපේ ළමා සංවර්ධන අමාත්‍යාංශය හැටියට දැන් මේ වෙනකොට මුල්ලමාවිය සංවර්ධනයේ ලොකු ආයෝජනයක් කරන්න ඕන කියන එක තෝරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ ආයෝජනය තමයි මම හිතන්නේ අනාගතේ අපේ රටේ දරුවාගේ සහ මේ රටේ ගමන මොනයන් අතකට තීරණය වෙයිද හොඳ අතට තීරණය වෙන්නේ.
This is an issue in a country where more young people are seeking higher education and demanding better quality jobs. Just look at how the likelihood of being unemployed increases for young Indians the higher their levels of literacy and education are. The type and quality of education Indians are receiving is a confounding factor.
You may have the degrees, diplomas, the certificates, but you're not getting the skill set that you need to enter the workforce.
जो हमें पढ़ाया जाता है आज के समय में वो नौकरी में नहीं मांग ही नहीं है। जो नौकरी में मांग है वो पढ़ाया नहीं जाता हमें कहीं भी, तो ये वजह से मुझे नौकरी नहीं मिली।
A key problem is that young people are often drawn to colleges that employ teachers with little training and use outdated curriculums.
Discouraged job seekers either end up taking up higher studies or join their families in farming activities.
Things are even worse for women.
The enrollment in tertiary education between men and women are quite equal. It's roughly 52% men, 48% women. Whereas when you look at the outcome in the labor market, it's quite different.
In fact, India's female labor force participation is one of the lowest in the world.
Women do not enter the workforce primarily because they're seen as caregivers in the family, and that is hurting India in a big way.